Hi y'all, I'm Melissa and welcome to my channel. Oh my word, Melly! This is going to be my very first book review on BookTube and I'm so excited that I'm doing a book review after doing so many book tags and to be read lists and book jars and all those bookish stuff. But I was also really nervous about this book review because I did not know what to make out of this book. Like, really, I was super confuzzled about this book. So, anyway, the book I'm going to be reviewing is Life and Death Twilight Reimagined by Stephenie Meyer. Life and Death Twilight Reimagined is a gender-swapped retelling of Twilight, and Stephenie Meyer did this as a bonus material and as a gift to the readers to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Twilight. And it's like two books in one. It was bundled up with Twilight, if you can see the special 10th edition, and it's bundled up with it. So you just had to like flip the book to read it, which I thought was really good because right throughout reading this, I had to cross-refer most of the parts with Twilight countless number of times. So like if I had to take my other Twilight book and keep turning pages, it would have been really annoying. So I am a huge fan of the Twilight Saga. I just love those books. And when I got the books from my second sister actually as a gift, so those are the only books that I have ever got as a gift back in 2009. And I loved reading every book of it, like irrespective of what everyone else thinks of the Twilight Saga, I just loved it. And Twilight is what got me hooked into reading YA as well. And then back in 2015 when I got to know that another Twilight book was released, oh my god, I was just hopping. I was so excited and I couldn't wait to get my hands on the book. And like finally I have it. I know I'm like 5 years late to reading this book, but like I somehow got around reading it and I was super excited that I got the book. Like the excitement was just unexpressionable. Like, and then I got it and I read it. And it murdered my excitement.
Well, that got dark.
I know we can't judge this book as a standalone or as a part of the series, but I couldn't help it because I started reading this as soon as I finished Midnight Sun. So I couldn't stop myself comparing and judging. So like everyone else, I too believe that only the main characters, that is Bella and Edward, were swapped in this. And oh man, wasn't I in one hell of a roller coaster ride when I figured it out that every single character, main or support character, was gender swap. For freaking sake, the cab driver who took Bella from the airport to the ballet studio, that fellow was also gender swap. Now in Life and Death, it's a she. It was a lady driver. Trust me, I have no issue with gender swapping things. But like, this was such a curveball. Only Charlie and Renee's characters were not gender swapped. And at the beginning of Life and Death, Stephenie Meyer has left a small letter to the readers explaining why Charlie and Renee were not swapped, but there was no indication whatsoever that every everyone else was swapped. I tell you, everyone else. Right throughout this book, my mind, my head kept spinning and spinning and spinning, trying to map the characters with their original characters, their original names, and like my mind just kept, even when reading each dialogue, my mind just kept translating. Like, that's the best word I can use here. Like, it started translating every single character name to its original character. Like, I really couldn't, like, the reading experience was really bad. Like, it was such a difficult reading experience with all these automatical translations happening in the head, and like it was, I kind of felt weird as well. And because of that, like mainly because of that, this book took me, like it took me ages to finish this book. Like, I think it almost was a month when I finished reading this, and like I do finish books like in a week's time. And so next point are the names of these characters, and this book is a bit heavy, so I'm going to keep it down on my table. Anyway, the names of these characters, like, who comes up with these names? Like, no offense to anyone having these names are okay, but in a gender swap for beautiful names, who comes up with all these weird names? Like, just check, Bella's character was renamed as Beaufort. God, no offense to anyone named that, but how do you even pronounce it? Like, not kidding, I had to Google it. I had to check how you pronounce it, and still there were two different pronunciations. Some were saying it's Beaufort, but then reading the book as Bew, Edith, and Bew was very cringy and very weird. So then I had to stick with the pronunciation as Beaufort, I believe. So it's Edith and Beau. Well, yeah, did not like that name. The name Edith, well, it did need some getting used to, and so at the beginning it was spelled as Edith, and then Beau says okay, he got to know that it's not spelled like that, and it's Edythe. And well, I don't know why they gave that emphasis of how the name was spelled, but I was really intrigued by the way Edith was spelled, because I'm someone who likes uncommon names. Most of my friends or family who know me knows that I don't like common names, I like very unique names. So the way Edith was spelled was very intriguing, and it got me really hooked to the name, and I did end up liking it, liking the name actually. Okay, so yes, that was like the only name I liked from the book. No, I actually liked Bonnie Black, which was like the gender swap of Billy Black, and I thought that was like a spot on swap. Like Edward and Edith also, though I liked the name Edith, I didn't like that was the swap, but Bonnie Black was the best swap, I thought, in the book. But the two names, or the two character, or the names of the characters that really struck a nerve in me were Royal and Archie. Like, really? Royal for Rosalie? Like, there was no other name, like nothing at all. Rosalie, if she was real, would have been really thrilled that her swapped name was Royal. That was like feeding her egotistical, high and mighty attitude, like really. I think that's why Stephenie Meyer did use the name Royal, but like not a fan of it. And then Archie for Alice? Really? I really liked Alice. There are names like Alex, Alan, I don't know, anything. There is nothing wrong with the name Archie, but then trying to think of Alice as Archie, all I could think of was Archie from Archie Comics, or from the TV series Riverdale, which is a spin-off of Archie Comics. Like, really, I could not picture Alice as Archie. So the next point I want to discuss is Beau's character. Honestly, he was not very convincing, or rather that character was not very convincing. Like, I really didn't like Bo's character. I tried liking him, but no, I think I liked Royal better than Bo in this. He was just half of the time this lovesick puppy and this girly sounding boy that it was really irritating. Oh, Edith, I love you. I have no life without you. Come on, you just met her. Like, at least be convincing a bit as a boy, but this was like a lovesick puppy just going behind this girl. Oh my word, this Volturi, the way they have explained, or way Stephanie Meyer has spoken about the Volturi in this, it was like a soap opera, like a drama. It was like these history lessons we learned at school, but even worse. This one killed that one to get into power, that one killed this one, that one to get into power. Jeez, get a life. Or like, I don't know, it was so comical. Like, I wouldn't expect a Volturi or the Volturi to be expressed or described so comically. I don't like, not that it was funny, it was just very comical for me. Like, and the names of the Volturi members. Marcus was Marcus, that was fine. And Sulpicia, like, what? The name Sulpicia just made me think of amnesia. Sulpicia, amnesia, like. And also this Volturi had this new member. I have no idea who that is. Like a vampire who can transfer powers called Millie. Was there even a mention of her in Twilight and Midnight Sun? Like, no, I'm pretty sure there wasn't, but like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, it would have been so cool if there was. I think, was she a replacement for Jane? I don't know. I still think Jane was a very scary vampire, so I don't know why just that paragraph of her was there to just say Sulpicia used that Millie vampire to take Arrow's power away and then replace Arrow. Like, good riddance to Arrow. I hated him in Twilight. Let's talk about some noticeable differences in this book. Like, some differences that I noticed. Like, I'm not going to list down all, but then just a few that I want to talk about. That the first is the scene at the airport. Like, that was definitely not there in Bella's or in Twilight, but there is a scene happening in this at the beginning itself, which is directly connected to what happens at Port Angeles. So, and also the Port Angeles scene is also different than what happened in Twilight. In Twilight, Bella encounters like a rape scenario, like she's almost raped. She's not raped, but she's like almost raped, and then Edward saves her. But in this, it's like Bo almost got shot and died, and Edith saved him. Like, I don't know why Stephanie did not use a rape scene as well, because there are male rape scenes, incidents and happenings. I don't know why she just like changed it completely into a shooting scene, but that was like a very noticeable difference. Then the next difference which I saw was something like really got my attention was intimacy. I get confused when pronouncing that word. Intimacy. Intimacy in Twilight between Edward and Bella was not spoken out loud, like not spoken that clearly. It was like hinted at, but in Life and Death, Edith very openly talks about intimacy with Bo. Like, it was very weird. Like in Twilight, it's Edward talking with Bella. So but in Life and Death, for a girl to bring it up, I was wondering why she did that. Like, nothing is wrong, but then that was very noticeable, like, because it was very openly discussed. And the next difference was towards the end, where the scene at the ballet studio. So the reason why Bo ever went to a ballet studio when he was small, and also the scene on the VCR tape that the vampire Joss, her name was, played. Even the way Bo was attacked at the ballet studio, that was also described totally different. Now let's get into the most anticipated ending of the book. If you don't like spoilers like me, skip this part or mute this until this green apple or the picture of this green apple disappears from the screen. So, this is where my mind completely stopped comparing Life and Death with Twilight and Midnight Sun. Towards the end of the 23rd chapter, I think, where Bo was bitten, I just did not know what I was reading. It just happened so fast. First I was like, wait, what? What's happening? What am I reading? Slow down. That was all my mind was going. It was just screaming at me. I had to like read that part over and over again to understand that, oh my god, this is different. This is changing. It's not what I was expecting. Like, I know the name says Twilight Reimagined, but like, I was not expecting this sort of a reimagination. Well, for those who wanted to know what happened if Edward never or couldn't suck out the venom from Bella, well, this is what happens. Now you will know. And if you are anything like me, you will not like it at all. And the most irritating part of this whole alternate ending was where Edith asked Bo's decision to become a vamp, like to allow the process of transformation. By the time that woman's soapy opera dialogue finished, that kid would have anyway been dead. Like, because this is fictional, thank God that fellow still survived her that long dialogue. Like, oh Bo, this is not my decision, it should be your decision, you should have the choice. Like, la 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 la, like, come on, the fellow is dying here. And then to add on to it, Bo, like, stupid fool. Sorry about the language, but like, really? He is dying here, writhing in pain, and he's like, Edith, I just want you, anything to be with you, anything. And I'm like, there is no care in the world for Charlie and Renee. Like, what the hell? And here he is writhing in pain and like dying and feeling the burn in his body, and Edith is having this vampire 101 session with him and trying to teach him everything about being a vampire. And he can hear her and see her also, though it is a little bit hazy, but he can still hear. Like, come on, he's dying, and is that a way to teach anyone anything? Like, yes, I know Bo has no idea of what being a vampire is like, because he did not have the time Bella had to learn to observe to understand the good and bad. But come on, that's not a way you give a vampire 101 lesson. Like, And then when he was changed, he wakes up to be this super self-controlled vampire. Like, it's not very convincing in Life and Death. It was convincing in Twilight or in Breaking Dawn, because Bella had 4 books of time to get to know everything, and in this it was like everything was cramped up in this ending, where every single thing Bella learned all over the years were like trying to be sunk into Bo's head. And like, even as a reader, I found it very overwhelming and cramped up and like information overload when I was reading it. I just did not like that ending. It was so cramped up. And then to wake up with self-control, super self-control for someone who just knows what he did for 2 weeks. Come on, Bella at least had that. How do you say? How did Emmett describe Bella? Oh, as tamed. Yeah, as a tamed vampire, because Bella fell in love over the years with Edward that made her that tame. And in this, come on, Bo just met Edith and not even like we'll just say not even a month. How can he like fall that severely in love that will make him tame? He's being tamed. His superpower, like what's his superpower? Does he have the shield? Like nothing is mentioned in this. So it's like there are so many cliffhangers, so you don't know what's happening there. And then the epilogue, like that was the most saddest, most, I don't know, cruel and heartless epilogue I have ever read. It's where Bo is watching his own fake funeral. And so Bo and Edith are sitting on a branch of a tree far away watching this, and like Renee and Charlie are devastated, and like Renee is even like wailing and fainting, passing out, and Charlie looks like he has lost his soul. And here this guy who is sitting on a tree is like, oh yeah, I'm sad, what can I do? They will learn to live without me. Anyway, Edith, what about the proposal? Let's get married, we'll live together. Like, come on dude, your parents are devastated. Like, how can he be that senseless, that heartless? I know he's a vampire, and he just became a vampire. That doesn't mean all human emotions just get washed away. They were your parents. Like, this ending, I don't know, I'm very disappointed with it. I did not expect such a very emotionless scene to happen on a book by Stephanie Meyer. Like, we love her books, like something like that to happen. No, at least in Breaking Dawn, Bella had time to sort out all her matters, right? And this was very, very like disappointing to see this ending. Like, I did not like this at all. So that's it from me ranting about this book. I know this video was extremely long. Sorry about that. I just had to discuss these points. I did not want to miss out on any, and I did filter out a lot of points which I want to discuss, but still I couldn't let go of most of this. And that is my take on Life and Death, Twilight, Reimagined. And for those who are wondering what the Goodreads rating for this book is, this book has a 3.72 rating, and based on my reading experience and my thoughts about the storyline, I gave this book just a 2-star rating. I hope you didn't mind me letting out my frustration about this book on this video, and I hope you liked this video. So if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and also please leave a comment down below and let me know if you have read this book and what you thought of this book. And if you ever read this book also, please leave a comment here so that we can start a conversation about this book. I have also left my Instagram and Goodreads handles in the description box down below, so don't forget to connect with me, and let's get talking about books. And until I see you in my next video, here is me signing off for this week. So bye, stay safe, and see you next time from Oh My Word, Millie.